Now, from Nebraska's trusted news source, this is Channel 8 News at 5.
Coming up tonight, it's a project 60 years in the making. Today, the South Beltway is officially open.
Plus, as a blizzard pummels the western part of the state, some Nebraskans shared pictures with us to show us just how much snow they got.
But first tonight, there could be big changes coming to the very rules that guide Nebraska's legislature next January. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us.
Conservatives are pushing to make ballot voting in the legislature public. Channel 8's Veronica Barreto joins us now live here in the studio with what opponents and supporters of the effort have to say. Veronica?
Nebraska legislature has been a unicameral since the 1930s. Since then, legislative committee leaders have been chosen through secret ballots. Many say this builds a strong relationship to bipartisan efforts. Others are saying it is not transparent enough. Supporters of an effort to end the secret ballot voting in the Nebraska's legislature are confident they have the votes needed to pass a rule change ahead of January's session.
I believe that we have at least 28 state senators who support the effort. It's probably closer to 30, maybe 31.
Secret ballots have been used to elect committee leaders since 1937, while opponents of this effort say secret ballots are crucial for bipartisanship. The conservative group Nebraska First PAC says making the votes public brings more transparency to the process.
If a person is elected because they say they're a conservative or a liberal, and then they vote for somebody who does not match those values, shouldn't the voters know about that when they're going to the polls?
Edwards says changing the current ballot voting, it's not a partisan issue.
The only people who benefit from keeping these votes secret are people who have a political agenda.
Edwards says one way to make a rule change is through a temporary process on day one of the legislative session. Opponents to the effort say it could take too long.
There is no reason to waste time on such an important rule to the legislature. It's been there for nearly a century, and I think it will definitely take away from other priorities.
The organization Nonpartisan Nebraska says a rule change on the ballot votes will harm the nonpartisan system that Nebraska has.
Political parties will be watching, the lobbyists will be watching, the governor will be watching, and they're going to have a big interest and putting certain kinds of people into these posts rather than those who are the most qualified.
Leach says Nebraskans don't want the legislature be divided like Congress.
Because leadership is decentralized, lawmakers have to depend on building coalitions around issues and also building strong relationships with other members.
Back in 2017, lawmakers spent 2 months debating amendments to permanent rules. The next legislative session will take place in January.
All right, Veronica, thank you for our top story tonight. Well, just this morning, the Lincoln South Beltway was open to drivers for the very first time.
Yeah, it's the largest ever transportation project in Nebraska. Channel 8's Mackenzie Johnson was at the celebration for the opening this morning and joins us with more. Mackenzie?
The plans for the $350 million Beltway were in the works for over 60 years. Governor Ricketts was the first to drive on the brand new Lincoln South Beltway after the opening ceremony. The 11-mile project connects Highway 77 southwest of Lincoln and Highway 2 just east of the city. The goal is to reduce traffic on Highway 2 through Lincoln. To celebrate, the Nebraska Department of Transportation held an event this morning on the Beltway. Chris Hawkins, the president and CEO of Hawkins Construction, talked about how the project was an amazing accomplishment for their company.
8.5 million yards of dirt moved, 21 bridges, 43 box culverts, 43,000 lineal feet of pipe, and over 900,000 square yards of concrete done in 3 years. It's truly incredible. We did that all through COVID. Every financial market collapse that we could have, we made it all the way through.
The Beltway isn't totally complete yet. Construction is set to be finished in 2024. A lot of people are happy to see all of those semis will now have a new route to go on instead of right through Lincoln. So just how many will that be? We'll hear more on that at 6, as well as hear from Governor Ricketts and Mayor Gaylor Baird on the project.
All right, Mackenzie, looking forward to the rest of your story. Thank you very much. And speaking of the opening of the Beltway, it may be good news for relieving traffic in Lincoln, but first responders in rural areas say it could be challenging for them to handle the influx of vehicles.
Channel 8's Matthew Mittleider has more on how Hickman and Bennett fire departments plan to adapt.
At its opening on Wednesday morning, Nebraska officials said as much as 75% of truck traffic could be moved out of Lincoln streets and onto the South Beltway in the near future. However, the fire departments of Hickman and Bennett say that they will now be facing the challenge of handling more traffic and therefore more accidents in their jurisdiction.
We have a section of Highway 77 that's been in our district forever, but this is going to bring a whole another volume of traffic that we really haven't experienced before.
Chief Robertson says that with an increase in calls to the Hickman department, it will put more of a strain onto their volunteers, especially during times when there's dangerous weather affecting the roads.
Like any volunteer organization, we're always running right at the edge of not having enough folks, and so this is just going to kind of add to that demand.
To adapt to that demand, the department is recruiting more firefighters and EMTs and training its current workers. Robertson says they've also started a program called Out-of-District Membership, which allows people living outside Hickman to volunteer at their department. He says people who work remotely or have flexible schedules can volunteer to spend their time at the station and help out with calls. Tim Norris, the fire chief at Bennett Fire and Rescue, says that the new roads will change how people get to their destinations, and it will take some time for drivers to adapt.
Well, we've got some pretty good curves in our area, so that 120th Street area, we get a lot of snow and ice in that zone, so with the curve, there could be some additional accidents that we have.
Norris says they're going to be doing some further training to figure out how to best respond to emergencies on the new road, especially when it comes to extra traffic heading towards Bennett.
And not all the exits are open yet, so I think, that area right there could be a little interesting for trucks and everybody else that are used to the old way now having to change to a new way.
He says the department is prepared to handle the extra traffic, but it will require them to extend the processes that they already used on Highway 2. Despite this, Norris says that they could always use more volunteers, not just in Bennett, but throughout Lancaster County. Reporting in Lincoln, Matthew Mittleider, Channel 8 News.
And to see more information on how to volunteer at either the Hickman or Bennett fire departments, click on this story on KLKNTV.com.
And for that South Beltway opening this morning, it was chilly but calm compared to what other Nebraskans are facing right now. Rusty.
Yeah, lots and lots of snow has already fallen on the western fringes of the state into the Panhandle. And we're going to take a quick look at some of the snowfall reports that we've gotten in so far. Just northeast of Chadron, 2 feet. 2 feet of snow. Hay Springs got 15 inches. Lisco, also in the Panhandle, 13 inches. Valentine at 12 inches. Rushville in the northwestern portion of the state in the Panhandle, 12 inches. And a foot of snow also in Alliance. Those are some of the higher ones, and we'll have more coming up in Maine weather. But still, with a winter scenario going on. Blizzard warnings for the western half of the state still in place through late tonight into early tomorrow morning. Winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories on the eastern fringes. Still some snow to go. It's not going to be another foot, but we are going to see more snow as we head through the overnight into tomorrow. And there it is. You can see it doesn't look impressive, but keep in mind there is a gusty northwest wind at anywhere from 30 to 50 miles per hour blowing all of this fresh new snow around. So some light snow showers still out there, but in Beatrice it's just cloudy. Maybe a couple of snowflakes here and there, otherwise pretty quiet and cool. 33 degrees in Beatrice, 34 in Nebraska City, 32 in Hebron, and then 20s and teens as you go further north and west. As we head through tonight in the capital city, temperatures drop through the 30s into the 20s by early tomorrow morning. And the wind chill is going to drop into the teens. We may even see single-digit wind chills as we head through early tomorrow morning. So cold air has finally showed up. It's going to stick around for a while. We'll show you that very chilly 10-day forecast in a few.
Sounds good. Thank you, Rusty. And a lot of folks are digging out after all of that snow.
And as Rusty just said, in some areas of western Nebraska, they saw anywhere from 1 to 2 feet of snow. We have a lot of pictures coming in sent to us. Here are a few of our favorites. Here's a picture from Andrea Fisher of Gordon. This is what she saw when she opened her door. A lot of snow and wind, creating a pretty good imprint of the door. Bailey Lesmeister of Chadron took this picture. 2 dogs trying to maneuver around the backyard in several feet of snow. This is from Kylie Peters of Hay Springs. The drifts in some areas higher than the vehicles. And here's a pretty shot from Sheena Ravel of Sydney. You've got the snow, some drifting, and a nicely decorated tree with just enough snow on it to be able to see the lights. And we appreciate those folks sending us those pictures. We have a lot more of them on our website for you to take a look at, klkntv.com. So when the interstate closes and the semis delivering goods can't travel any further, where do they stay?
Well, thanks to the collaboration of many state organizations, hundreds made their way off the interstate and found a place to park, like here at the Wild West Arena in North Platte.
Yeah, take a look here as officers are actually guiding trucks off of Interstate 80, and they're showing them where to go. The semis could be stuck here a little longer as many of the highways in the Panhandle remain impassable. Well, Lancaster County is reporting its first death from the flu this season, a woman in her 40s.
Officials tell us she did have underlying health conditions. Health experts remind everyone the level of flu activity in the community is very high. Most cases are currently in school-age children 6 to 19 years old, but cases are also rising in adults 20 to 64 years old. They say vaccination is your best protection against the flu, and it's recommended that everyone 6 months and older gets it every year. Now, new details on a crash we first brought to you this morning. Police say a 19-year-old slammed a car into a parking garage wall near 18th and P Streets.
Here's video from the scene. Police tell us Jacob Staub of Grand Island was the driver and is now charged with DUI. He and 2 passengers were taken to the hospital. Good news, though, they're expected to be okay. Lincoln police say all 3 were drinking underage. The collision caused $500 of damage to the wall, and the car is considered a total loss. Well, coming up on our newscast, borrowing money just got more expensive after the Federal Reserve hiked its interest rate once again.
Plus some good news when it comes to holiday travel. All those details after the break.
Who wants burgers?
Ooh, it's the DQ signature staff.
3 consecutive increases, the Federal Reserve raised its short-term borrowing rate another 0.5% today, slowing an aggressive series of rate increases while continuing an effort to cool the economy and dial back inflation.
ABC's Alexis Christoforous has the very latest.
Borrowing money just got more expensive after the Federal Reserve hiked its key interest rate for the 7th and final time this year.
The FOMC raised our policy interest rate by a 0.5 percentage point.
That's a historically big move, but a smaller increase than the past 4 rate hikes. What does that mean in dollar terms? If you have a fixed 30-year, $300,000 mortgage, you're paying about $500 more each month than at the start of the year, simply because of those higher rates. If you carry a $5,000 balance on your credit card, this year's 7 rate hikes means you'll spend an additional $1,600 in interest payments alone. The Fed trying to slow the economy to reduce prices, and there are signs it's working. The November inflation report showed prices cooling, but the cost of everything from groceries to rent is still too high for the Fed, which is why the central bank signaled more rate hikes to come, but perhaps less aggressive.
The Fed can be more comfortable in slowing down its pace of rate hikes. They're much more likely to do adjustments in the policy rate of 25 basis point increments, and that way they can see if this positive trend in inflation continues.
Economists hoping the strong job market and consumer spending will prevent the economy from slipping into a recession in the new year. Higher interest rates are good news if you have money in the bank, where returns are now above 4% on savings accounts and certificates of deposits, levels we haven't seen in 15 years. In New York, Alexis Christoforous, ABC News.
Well, the holiday travel season is about to kick into high gear, and AAA says it's going to be the busiest since 2019.
They say people are beginning to return to pre-pandemic level travel, which means crowds at the airports and traffic on the roads. And while soaring inflation means you may be paying more for holiday gifts, drivers are catching a break at the pump.
We are forecasting 113 million people are going to be traveling for this upcoming holiday period. About 101 million will go by car. We expect that gasoline prices could be hovering right around the $3 a gallon level, way below even what we saw last year.
The global price of oil, along with the less expensive winter blend of gas, is behind the decline in prices. But to get the most mileage, AAA recommends having your vehicle serviced before your trip.
Now, your Storm Alert team forecast with Chief Meteorologist Rusty Dawkins.
You know who's not going to be traveling anytime soon? People in western Nebraska. Just so much snow, 1 foot to 2 feet of snow has fallen across the panhandle, so that means they're in the red here, impassable. Travel not advised from about O'Neill south and west towards the panhandle, and then partial to covered for much of central and southwestern Nebraska, and then green from about Grand Island to Lincoln. So road conditions vary, and storm reports also vary. These are all the snowfall total reports that we've gotten so far, and we're going to zoom in on a couple of them that are significant. 24 inches near Shatter, and that was as of 9 a.m. this morning. 15 inches in Hay Springs, 12 inches in Rushville. So Highway 20 between Gordon and Shatter and kind of got walloped. Heavy snow near Alliance, 12 inches of snow there, just over 1 foot of snow in Lisco, which is over here by Oshkosh. Then we'll zoom over here to north central Nebraska, 6 inches of snow in Springview and O'Neill, only 2 inches of snow. And then into parts of central Nebraska, Broken Bow got 2 inches, and Hershey saw 3 inches. So it was kind of, the further west you went, the more snow you got. Now outside in Lincoln, Southeast Community College, Cam, just clouds, maybe a snowflake or two every now and then trying to fall from the sky, but overall it's pretty quiet and just on the chilly side. 34 in Southeast Community College, Airport at 34, Yankee Hill Road, East Campus all at 33. You go further west, you get colder, and especially when there's snow on the ground, but 26 in Central City, 31 Columbus, 29 in Grand Island, then right around the freezing mark for just about everybody else. So overall, it's chilly out there. The wind not helping. Wind gusts at 44 miles per hour in Grand Island. No snow on the ground from central Nebraska east, so that's good, but 1 foot to 2 feet of snow, and you're seeing wind gusts at 30, 32, 36 miles per hour. That means that there's going to be blizzard warnings in effect. Even if there's not a lot of snow falling right now, you're still going to see visibilities that are well below 1/4 mile. So a lot of snow still trying to fall in parts of north central Nebraska. There's more up to the north too. Look at all this. This thing is wrapping around like this, and the storm system is going to take a track like this. So I think north central and northeastern Nebraska is still a chance at seeing some snow. There it is. And this is through 6 a.m. Thursday. Cold front continues to roll through. Snow sticks around a little bit for northeast Nebraska through noon, and then cold air is just going to settle in and make itself at home for a while. And notice the snow doesn't really go away through Thursday night into early Friday, and unfortunately neither does the wind. 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts for about the entire state, even some 50s showing up as we head through the middle part of Thursday. So where there's a lot of snow on the ground, they're still expecting 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts. So blizzard warnings in place as we head through late tonight into early tomorrow morning. Winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories in place through tonight into tomorrow morning. So tonight, temperatures dropping to around 20 to 25 degrees. Mostly cloudy, a flurry possible. Northwest wind at 10 to 25, so that 25 may feel more like the teens. And then highs tomorrow struggle, upper 20s to around 30. A lot of us not even getting back to the freezing mark. And notice that wind out of the northwest at 20 to 35 miles per hour. So even though 30 is going to be the high, it will not feel like it. Mostly cloudy, a few flurries here and there, mostly cloudy skies, just not a really nice day. And that continues. We'll see cloudy skies on Friday, upper 20s, back to around 30 on Saturday, a little warmer on Sunday. So if you need to be outdoors for any length of time, Sunday is probably your best bet. And then as we head towards Monday, 24 degrees, and notice those overnight low temperatures getting into the single digits, might even get below zero for a couple of days by the middle and end of next week. And winter begins on Wednesday, and then Santa starts to make an appearance as we head towards Saturday night into Sunday. Saturday, that's Christmas Eve. So
that's right.
We're starting to get into the holiday season. It's getting closer and closer.
Yeah, already there, but that 10-day to me looks like ice growing weather for ice fishing.
Oh,
I'm excited.
Staying inside drinking hot chocolate.
I know that's not your cup of tea or
Two
cup
different
of,
worlds
cup of
there,
hot
yeah.
chocolate,
Yeah.
Rusty, but
Yes.
someday I'll take you and you'll love it.
Okay.
You'll become addicted.
Yep. All right, thank you, Rusty. A negative day on Wall Street. The Dow falling 142 points. NASDAQ also down 86. S&P losing 24. Here are your numbers. You're watching Channel 8, Nebraska's trusted news source.
Finally tonight, the Grinch won't be stealing Christmas this year. Instead, he's going to be spending the holiday season at a Minnesota jail. The Anoka County Sheriff's Department shared these photos on social media of the Grinch's arrest.
The sheriff says for far too long, the well-known menace to the holiday season has disguised himself as Santa, broken into homes and stolen everything. The Grinch now faces charges of identity theft and burglary. The sheriff hopes the Grinch takes the time to reflect and let his heart grow and embrace the Christmas spirit.
What should his penalty be? We don't have time for that. Let's go to Rusty with the final check of the weather.
Barely have time for this, but the cool temperatures, cold temperatures, 30 on Thursday, 28 on Friday, back to 30 on Saturday. We'll eventually see that sun come back out on Saturday.
All right, thank you, Rusty, and thank you for joining us.
Have a great night. We'll see you at 6.
With the Channel 8 News mobile app, you'll be the first to know. Get alerts about breaking news and weather, all in the palm of your hand.
Extreme sports. And now, Amigos Extreme Burritos with extreme sauce and 3 cheeses with steak, chicken, or beef. And crispy French fries at Amigos.
Closed captioning on Channel 8 Eyewitness News is brought to you by Christensen Hearing Analytics.
Get big Christmas bargains this week at Super Saver. Black Canyon Angus bone and ribeye roast, $7.78 per pound. Best choice butter, only $2.98.